If there's no creator, why does the universe exist? Buddhism and cosmic theories. It's a quiet evening, maybe you're in your 50s or 60s. The house is still. The children have grown. The television is off. Outside, the sky fades gently into dusk. You cradle a warm cup of tea in your hands, feeling its comfort in your palms, and for a moment, just a moment, there is nothing to do, no role to play. In that pause, a question gently stirs, not with urgency, but with honesty. If there's no God who created this, then why does the universe exist? This question doesn't come from rebellion, it comes from reverence. It's the whisper that rises when we've seen enough of life to know that certainty is fragile, and that what truly matters cannot always be named. It's a question that has lived in the hearts of monks in mountain caves, in the sighs of nurses holding a fading hand, in the silent wonder of a grandfather watching his grandchild sleep. This isn't just a philosopher's question, it is a human question, because we long to make sense of this vast, dazzling, difficult world, not just to understand it, but to feel held by it. We want to believe there's purpose behind the pain, design behind the chaos, someone or something behind the stars. And yet, Buddhism offers a different way to meet this longing, not by denying the question, but by transforming it. The Buddha never gave easy answers to cosmic questions, not because he lacked insight, but because he saw the subtle trap they held. These questions often pull us outward into speculation, into mental noise. But he wanted to lead us inward into the stillness of direct knowing. So instead of asking, who made the universe, Buddhism gently shifts the question, what conditions brought this moment into being? That shift changes everything. Because now the focus moves from a distant creator to the living reality of interdependence, right here, right now. And what's remarkable is that this approach doesn't shrink the mystery of the universe, it expands it. Instead of tracing existence to a single source, it reveals a web so vast, so intricately woven, that every breath, every leaf, every act of kindness becomes a doorway into truth. In this way of seeing, nothing exists on its own. The stars above you, born from the death of other stars, the tea in your hand, made possible by sunlight, farmers, soil, rain, compassion. Your very body, an unfolding of genes, time, breath, memory, and karma. Nothing stands alone. And because nothing stands alone, everything belongs. This view isn't just intellectually satisfying, it's spiritually nourishing. It makes the universe less like a machine and more like a song, played by countless unseen instruments, each note arising in harmony with the next. And you are not a stranger to it. You are it. You're not watching the world go by. You are part of its unfolding, a participant in the great symphony of life. So if this question has ever stirred in your soul, and it has, or you wouldn't be here, I invite you to walk with me a while. Not to find the answer, but to enter the mystery more deeply, with open eyes, with a heart soft as earth, with the compassion that sees no separation. This is not just a philosophical journey. This is a human one. Let us begin. Chapter 1: The Longing to Know More Than Curiosity. As children, we learn that everything comes from somewhere. We see a house and we know someone built it. We read a story and we ask who wrote it. We bite into a ripe peach and we remember the tree, the soil, the sun. Causality is how we make sense of the world. It comforts us. It explains things. It gives us a place to start. So it's no surprise that when we look at the vastness of space, or the intricate beauty of a snowflake, or the deep sorrow and joy woven through human life, we instinctively ask, who made all this? But Buddhism invites us to pause, not to discard the question, but to tilt it gently. Instead of asking who made this, we ask what gave rise to this. This isn't a dodge, it's a deeper exploration. It shifts our attention from a creator to a process, from a story about power to a realization about patterns. The question transforms from a search for a divine architect into a meditative inquiry about the nature of arising. This perspective is not new. It was present over 2,500 years ago when the Buddha met the questions of his time with clarity and compassion. In one well-known tale, the Buddha visits Brahma Baka, a powerful celestial being who believes himself to be the eternal creator. Because his realm endures for eons, Brahma forgets the karma and conditions that brought him there. He mistakes longevity for permanence. With gentle wisdom, the Buddha shows him otherwise. Even Brahma, radiant and vast, is subject to causes. His identity, like all things, is woven from conditions. Nothing, not even the most exalted being, is outside the law of dependent origination. That story matters not because it pits gods against truths, but because it reminds us that even our highest ideas must be held with humility. The Buddha doesn't reject reverence, he reorients it. Instead of worshipping what seems eternal, we are invited to wonder at what is truly real, the ever-changing dance of cause and effect. In Buddhist thought, this is not a cold, mechanistic model. It is deeply alive. Every moment arises through an interwoven web of conditions. Your breath is not just air, it's the result of your ancestors, your choices, your health, the trees outside your window. Your thoughts are shaped not only by neurons, but by memories, culture, intention, and emotion. Everything we experience is part of an unfolding tapestry. Seen this way, the question, who made the universe, becomes less urgent than how does this universe work, and more importantly, how can I live in harmony with it? This doesn't mean we stop asking questions. It means we ask them from a different posture, not as seekers chasing certainty, but as beings awakening to connection. There is a word in Buddhism, yanais o manasikara, wise attention. It means looking deeply into the nature of things, seeing their roots, their implications. Wise attention doesn't stop at appearances. It asks, what supports this? What nourishes it? What will it lead to? So when we feel the longing to know, especially as we age, as loss and love soften us, Buddhism doesn't ask us to suppress that longing. It asks us to listen to it with tenderness. Because that longing is not just intellectual, it is the soul reaching toward understanding, and through wise attention it becomes a path, not to final answers, but to deeper presence. Perhaps the most meaningful response to the mystery of existence is not a theory or a belief, but a way of being, one that honors interdependence, one that lives gently. One that sees every sunrise, every face, every heartbeat as arising not from a single hand, but from countless hands, countless moments, all meeting here, right now. That is the beauty of this path. It doesn't give you something to believe in. It gives you a way to see and to love more fully. Chapter 2, Science and the Big Beginning, What Physics Can't Quite Answer. Science tells a beautiful story, one that begins not with myth, but with math, with measurements, predictions, and theories that stretch the boundaries of imagination. According to modern physics, everything, space, time, energy, matter, erupted into existence from a singularity nearly 14 billion years ago. This moment, known as the Big Bang, is as close as science comes to describing the birth of the cosmos. It's a compelling vision. A universe expanding, cooling, forming stars, galaxies, planets, and eventually life, our life. But science, as precise as it is, has its boundaries. For all its equations, it cannot quite answer. What came before that? Why is there something rather than nothing? Even the late Stephen Hawking, who famously explored how the universe might emerge from a quantum vacuum, admitted that the deepest roots of existence remain mysterious. In Buddhism, this mystery is not a failure, it's a doorway. The Buddha didn't argue with science. In fact, many Buddhist teachings resonate with scientific insights, especially the ideas of interdependence, change, and cause and effect. But Buddhism isn't focused on tracing the first domino, it's concerned with suffering and freedom. So when someone asks what caused the universe to exist, the Buddha might have gently redirected. Will knowing that help you end your suffering? This isn't a dismissal, it's an invitation to refocus. Buddhism doesn't deny the wonder of scientific exploration. It simply asks whether such wonder is useful on the path to peace. Does knowing what sparked the cosmos teach you how to respond to pain, to impermanence, to love, to loss? And perhaps more radically, Buddhism suggests that clinging to an answer, any answer, can become its own form of suffering. The mind that insists on a beginning is the same mind that fears its end. This is where Buddhist insight offers a profound pivot. Instead of seeking a single cause or origin, Buddhism teaches dependent origination, the understanding that all things arise from conditions, and those conditions arise from other conditions, with no fixed starting point. Just as a wave arises from wind and water, not from nowhere, the universe too emerges from a vast, dynamic interplay of forces, not linear, not static, but fluid, responsive, alive. Even the question, what was before the Big Bang, presumes a kind of time that may not apply. Buddhism and quantum cosmology in different languages both hint at this. That our conventional ideas of time and space break down at the deepest levels. In that sense, reality is not a thing that began, but a process that is always beginning. From this view, the universe doesn't need a maker to be meaningful. It doesn't require a creator to be astonishing. Its very existence is an unfolding miracle, a testament not to control, but to connection. And we are not separate from that miracle. Our breath, our choices, our grief, and our laughter, all of it is entangled in the same web of arising. And so the real question, the one that cuts through the noise, is not what happened 14 billion years ago, but what is happening now. Right now in this moment, what are the conditions that shape your experience? What thoughts are rising? What emotions? What intentions? These, too, are part of the cosmos. They matter. They ripple outward. This is where Buddhism finds its anchor, not in cosmic origins, but in lived reality, in the breath, in awareness, in how we meet the moment with compassion or confusion. So yes, the Big Bang is an extraordinary story. But for those walking the path of the Dharma, there is another explosion to consider. The moment of awakening, when the mind sees clearly, beyond clinging, beyond speculation, into the heart of being. In that moment, everything begins again, not out there in space, but right here in this very life. And that, too, is a kind of universe, one that starts not with fire, but with stillness, not with noise, but with knowing. Not with a bang, but with a breath. Chapter 3, Samsara, the endless flow without a beginning. If you're looking for the first moment, the cosmic once upon a time, you won't find it in the Buddha's teachings. Not because he lacked answers, but because he saw that question as part of the very illusion we're trying to wake up from. In the Asu Sutta, the Buddha said, unimaginable is the beginning of this samsara, not unknown, unimaginable. That distinction matters, because the idea of a starting point, a clean beginning, is itself a mental construction. It's our way of trying to pin down something that was never meant to be pinned. Samsara, the wheel of birth, death, and rebirth, is not a straight line. It's not a ladder or a staircase. It's a circle, or better yet, a flowing river with no discernible source. We're not moving from a past to a future so much as we are cycling through experiences, habits, lifetimes. What repeats is not the event, but the conditioning, the patterns of craving, aversion, and ignorance that perpetuate the flow. The Buddha described this cycle not only in terms of human life, but of entire universes. Cosmologies that expand and collapse, realms of gods, animals, humans, ghosts, all of it turning, rising and falling like waves. In this view, the question, who created the universe, becomes as strange as asking who created the ocean. The ocean is not created, it is formed by conditions, temperature, gravity, time, moisture. It exists because it flows, and so does samsara. This idea isn't meant to overwhelm you. On the contrary, it can bring profound clarity. Because if there's no single first cause, there's no need to obsess over finding one. We can stop chasing the original spark and start attending to what is sparking now, within us, around us. It also means that we're not locked into a fixed fate. Because the very same process that creates suffering, craving, clinging, unawareness can be transformed. The wheel can be turned not by force but by understanding. This is where the path of liberation begins. Not in some primordial event, but in this breath, this thought, this choice. Because what we do now becomes the conditions for what comes next. That's why karma is not judgment. It's not cosmic punishment or reward. It's cause and effect, alive and unfolding. It means our lives are not accidents, but responses. Our suffering is not meaningless, it's traceable. Our joy is not random, it's cultivatable. So instead of asking, where did it all begin, we can ask, where am I perpetuating the wheel? And more importantly, where can I interrupt it? With awareness, with kindness, with wisdom. The universe, as the Buddha saw it, wasn't built. It bloomed, it didn't start, it flows. And in that flow, we are not spectators, we are participants, not lost in the current, but capable of swimming. And sometimes, by pausing, by breathing, by seeing clearly, we begin to rise above the current altogether. Not to escape the world, but to meet it differently. Not to explain samsara, but to wake up from it. Not to find the beginning, but to live the unfolding, fully, wisely, and with compassion. Chapter 4, Dependent Origination, This Because That Is. The deeper we look into life, the more we see this. Nothing stands alone. The Buddha called this principle pradityasamutpada, dependent origination, a phrase that might sound complex, but its meaning is beautifully simple. This exists because that exists. This ceases because that ceases. Everything arises due to conditions. And when those conditions fall away, the thing they supported also fades. Nothing appears out of nothing. Nothing sustains itself in isolation. Imagine a spider web. Touch one strand and the entire web trembles. That's the nature of interbeing. That's the nature of reality. You are not breathing just because you have lungs. You are breathing because of oxygen, trees, clouds, the sun, gravity, your parents, your ancestors, this moment, this body. Your breath is the result of 1,000 unseen gifts. This isn't just poetic, it's profoundly practical. Understanding dependent origination helps us dismantle suffering, because suffering, too, doesn't arise from nowhere. It has causes. Craving, aversion, ignorance, these are the seeds. And just like anything else, when those causes cease, suffering also ceases. This view doesn't require a creator. It doesn't require a divine designer with a blueprint. It offers something far more intimate. An understanding of how things unfold and how we can participate more skillfully. To see the world through dependent origination is to see it as alive, relational, dynamic. It's not a static world filled with isolated things, but a living field of connection. And within that web, every thought, every gesture, every intention has impact. It also means you're never truly alone. The kindness of strangers, the compassion of ancestors, the resilience of those who came before, all of it supports this very moment. And in turn, your presence now becomes a condition for what will come. So rather than ask, what is the purpose of the universe? Buddhism invites us to ask, what am I contributing to this unfolding? Are we adding more confusion or more clarity, more harm or more healing? More separation or more love? The teachings don't point to a cosmic creator, they point to a living participation, not as rulers of the world, but as caretakers of its conditions. When we deeply understand this, we stop asking who's in control and start asking, how can I help? And that question, perhaps more than any other, brings us closer to the heart of awakening. Chapter 5, Emptiness, not void, but interdependence. When the Buddha spoke of emptiness, sunyata, he wasn't describing a void to be feared. He was pointing toward a freedom that is often hidden behind our ordinary ways of seeing. Emptiness doesn't mean that nothing exists. It means that nothing exists independently on its own, sealed off from everything else. Everything arises together in a web of mutual support, of causes and conditions, your body. A dance of cells, breath, digestion, thought, aging, memory, time, your identity. A story written by countless hands, your parents, your culture, your hopes and wounds, your habits, your loves. Nothing in you is isolated. Everything is part of something larger. Everything is part of everything else. This truth isn't meant to unsettle, it's meant to liberate. The solidity we cling to is often the source of our fear. We believe we must protect a fixed self, prove our worth, defend our image. But when you begin to see clearly, the pressure lifts. Like mist dissolving in sunlight, that tight grip on me begins to soften. Emptiness shows us that life is movement. There is no static you, no fixed core to protect. You are like a flame, always burning, never the same twice. Or like a river, changing, flowing, fed by many streams. This has profound implications. It means suffering, too, is not fixed. It is part of a process, and processes can change. It means that anger, fear, loneliness, these are not permanent features of who you are. They arise due to conditions. And they can cease when those conditions shift. When we take emptiness personally, it becomes medicine. Instead of clinging to labels, we begin to question, is this thought true? Is this feeling permanent? Where did this emotion come from, and where is it going? We realize we don't have to believe everything we think. This isn't a cold or abstract idea. It's deeply human. Think of how a kind word can change your whole mood. Or how a deep breath can calm your body. These are signs of your interconnected, impermanent nature. And that's good news, because it means transformation is always possible. And here is where compassion enters naturally. If nothing exists independently, then we're all in this together. My peace affects yours. Your suffering touches me. We are not islands, we are waves in the same sea. The Buddha didn't teach emptiness to lead us into despair. He taught it to loosen our grip, to soften the mind, to open the heart. When you realize that everything is changing, everything is connected, and nothing is inherently separate, something inside you relaxes. You stop fighting reality. You start flowing with it. In Zen, they say, emptiness is form and form is emptiness. That's not a riddle, it's a pointing. The same hands that hold a teacup are made of stardust. The same breath that carries grief also carries life. Emptiness means we can stop holding ourselves so tightly. We don't have to be a perfect someone. We just have to show up with awareness, with kindness, with the willingness to let go. To live in the light of emptiness is to live gently. It is to love without ownership, to act without attachment, to walk through the world with humility and joy. You are not a separate, solid block. You are a symphony. And the beauty of a symphony is not in its permanence, but in its movement. So play your part fully and freely. Let your life rise and fall like a wave, without fear, without clinging. That is the gift of emptiness, not a blank void, but a vast openness, not absence, but possibility. Not nihilism, but intimacy with all things. Chapter 6, Karma, the Universe of Action. In the Buddhist view, the universe isn't governed by a judging deity handing out rewards and punishments. It's shaped by karma, by action and consequence, not in some distant or abstract way, but right here, in the fabric of our lives. Karma means action, but more deeply it points to a truth. Everything we think, say, and do plants a seed. That seed doesn't vanish, it ripens, sometimes quickly, sometimes over lifetimes, but always with impact. This is not about fate. Fate is fixed, cold, and impersonal. Karma is fluid, responsive, and alive. It's not about blame either. The universe isn't looking to punish you, it's just reflecting you. Say a harsh word to someone and watch the energy it creates. Notice the tension it stirs. Say a kind word and see how it softens the space. These aren't metaphors, they're direct demonstrations of karmic law. Your actions ripple outward. Every thought is like a drop in a still pond. Every choice you make has a direction, a momentum. Over time, those ripples shape your character, your relationships, even your environment. This is the architecture of karma. It's not moral in the Western sense, it's relational. What you put in, you meet again. This is why intention matters so deeply in Buddhism. Two people can perform the same act, say, offering food, but if one acts with pride and the other with compassion, the karmic results are not the same. Karma is not just about what you do, but why and how you do it. And karma isn't just personal. Collectively, our actions shape the kind of world we live in. A society that values greed or domination will bear the fruit of its choices: inequality, conflict, mistrust. A society rooted in generosity, patience, and wisdom will grow differently. Karma is the soil we all plant in together. In this light, you begin to see that your smallest choices are not small. To refrain from anger, to offer a smile, to listen deeply, these are not just nice things to do. They are sacred. They are the very weaving of reality. This understanding of karma gives you back your agency. You are not at the mercy of randomness. You're part of a responsive universe, one that mirrors the quality of your presence. Each day you are shaping your path, not by trying to control everything, but by meeting the moment with care. And this includes how you respond to your past. We all carry old karmas, patterns, regrets, mistakes. Buddhism teaches that these are not life sentences. They're conditions, and conditions can change. Through mindfulness, through compassion, through wise action, we can reshape even deeply ingrained tendencies. This is the path of freedom. Not denial, not perfection, but intentional living. Watching your thoughts, noticing your habits, planting better seeds. One of the most beautiful truths about karma is that no act of goodness is ever wasted. Even when no one sees it, even when the results are slow to bloom, your effort to be kind, to be honest, to be awake, it matters. It matters deeply. So karma isn't scary, it's sacred. It's the universe saying, you belong, you make a difference. Your life is not a fluke, it's a thread in the great weaving of all things. What you do ripples outward. What you say echoes in the hearts of others. What you think shapes the weather of your own mind. And this is not meant to burden you. It's meant to empower you, because if everything is connected, then every step you take in the direction of truth, love, or wisdom, that step sends light into the whole web. Karma is not fate, it is pattern, and patterns can be rewritten. Every breath is a chance to begin again. Every moment is an opening, and from that opening, the world begins to shift, not because a God demands it, but because the universe is listening, and it always answers in kind. Chapter 7, Waking from the Dream, Beyond Cosmic Speculation. Life, the Buddha taught, is like a dream. Not because it's false or meaningless, but because we see it through a veil of assumptions, projections, and desires. We mistake this ever-shifting world for something fixed. We cling to it, try to hold it in place, and in that clinging we suffer. Our minds ache for certainty. We crave answers to cosmic questions: who made this universe? Why are we here? What came before it all? But the Buddha didn't chase those questions, not because he lacked the curiosity or the intellect, but because he saw where those questions often led, into endless speculation, distraction, and deeper entanglement. He once told a story of a man shot with a poisoned arrow. Instead of removing the arrow, the man demanded to know who shot it, what it was made of, and where the shooter trained. Meanwhile, the poison spreads. First, pull out the arrow, the Buddha said. Then, if you still wish, ask your questions. The Buddha's compassion lay in this clarity. He didn't deny the beauty of mystery, but he pointed us to something more urgent: freedom, liberation, peace. These are not abstract ideals, they're practical needs. So rather than speculate about the origin of stars, Buddhism asks what binds you, what causes you to suffer, and most importantly, what frees you. In this view, the universe is not a puzzle to solve, but a dream to wake up from. You don't need to understand every detail of the cosmos to stop the pain in your heart. You don't need to map every galaxy to be kind or to forgive or to breathe deeply and return to the present. Waking up doesn't mean rejecting the world. It means seeing it clearly, without the distortions of ego, fear, or craving. It means recognizing that this moment is fleeting and that you too are a process, not a possession. It's a gentle shift from trying to control the dream to learning how to release it, from needing to know to choosing to see. From wondering who wrote the script to waking up from the theater altogether. And when you wake up, even for a moment, what you find is not emptiness but space, not despair but peace. A stillness that holds the stars and your breath with the same quiet grace. So when people ask who made the universe, the Buddhist response is tender. Maybe that's not the question that will bring you home. Maybe the real question is, can I let go? Can I see clearly? Can I live with love even in a world I don't fully understand? And if the answer is yes, then perhaps that's awakening enough. Chapter 8, A Story from the Village. In a quiet Vietnamese village by the edge of a slow-moving river, there lived an old man named Tam. He was in his 70s, lean, with gentle eyes that had seen both war and peace, famine and harvest. Every morning at dawn, without fail, he would walk to the riverbank, place a small candle on a banana leaf, light it, and let it float away on the water. A curious boy from the village, no more than 10, once followed him and watched quietly. After several mornings, he finally asked, "Uncle Tam, who are you praying to?" The old man smiled deeply and patiently. "To the river," he said, "to the sky, to my breath, not someone above, but everything right here." The boy looked puzzled. "So, not to God." Tam gently shook his head. "I'm not waiting for someone to fix things. I'm thanking life for continuing. I'm honoring everything that allows me to wake up, to eat, to walk. That's enough." The boy sat beside him. The candle drifted further down the stream. You see, Uncle Tam wasn't worshiping in the traditional sense. He wasn't seeking divine favor or trying to earn his place in another world. He was participating in this one fully, humbly, and with great love. In Buddhism, we sometimes speak of the sacred not as something above us, but as something all around us, within us. Uncle Tam knew that prayer isn't always words. It can be a way of walking, of breathing, of seeing the ordinary as holy. He didn't need heaven. He was living it right there on the muddy bank with a floating candle and a quiet smile. The candle itself was a symbol. Not of answers, but of attention, a way of saying, this moment matters, this life matters, I will not take it for granted. And the boy, he kept coming back, not for doctrine, not for explanations, but for presence. He began lighting his own candles, not to copy, but to feel what Uncle Tam felt. Peace that didn't depend on certainty, reverence that didn't need a name. And that, too, is awakening. It isn't always loud. It doesn't arrive with trumpets or visions. Sometimes it slips in like morning fog, like the scent of jasmine in the dark, quiet, present, complete. So when people ask, what do Buddhists believe about God? Or who do they pray to? Perhaps we can offer them this story, a man, a river, a candle, and a heart wide open. And what now? You don't need to solve the mystery of the universe to live a meaningful life. You don't need to trace every star back to its origin or settle every cosmic debate. You just need to look softly and honestly at what is here. Right now, the Buddha didn't offer a creation story. He offered a path, a way through suffering, a way into peace, and it begins not with speculation, but with attention. Everything arises from conditions, your thoughts, your fears, your joy, your very sense of self. Nothing stands alone, nothing is fixed, and because of that, everything can shift, everything can be touched with care. This is the quiet revolution of Buddhism. It doesn't give you someone to worship, it gives you the tools to wake up. Wake up to the patterns you've been caught in. Wake up to the ways you contribute to suffering and to the ways you can ease it. Wake up to the breath, the body, the people in front of you, and in that waking, discover something deeper than belief, clarity, compassion, freedom. You don't need to believe in a creator or deny one to walk this path. You simply need to ask, what am I doing with this life I've been given? Because that's where Buddhism places its trust, not in divine origin, but in lived experience, in cause and effect, in presence and practice. So what now? Now you breathe. Not to get somewhere else, not to be perfect, but to show up for this body, this world, this moment. You sit not to escape life, but to enter it more fully. You act not out of obligation, but from understanding that everything you do sends a ripple into the web of being. You offer kindness, you speak with care, you pause before reacting, not because someone is watching, but because you are awake. So, friend, breathe, not to reach God, not to deny one, but to be here as you are. This is the real miracle. That you are alive, that awareness is possible, that even now you can choose to meet this moment with gentleness. The Buddhist answer isn't written in the sky, it's lived in small acts, in wise seeing, in warm silence. In the willingness to begin again. Can I live with clarity, compassion, and freedom right now? That is the Buddhist answer, and perhaps the only one we ever needed.